relatively famous poem in this neck of the woods about the Battle of Hastings, written by Marriott Edgar. It's written in a very heavily accented Lancastrian dialect, which is one of the reasons why it's obviously so popular around here. It's one of the very few poems that I actually know off by heart. So, anyway, here it is, and see what you think. Now I tell it, Battle of Hastings has happened in days long gone by, when Duke William became King of England, and Harold got shot in thigh. It were this way, one day in October. The Duke, who always a tough, having no battles on at the moment, had given all his lads' day off. They'd all taken boats to go fishing, when some chap in Conqueror's ear said, "Let's go put breeze up yon Saxons." Said Bill, "That's an idea." Then turning round to soldiers, he lifted his big Norman voice, shouting, "Hands up who's coming to England." And that was swank, because they had no bloody choice. But they started away about tea time, and the sea was so calm and so still. And at 9:45 next morning, they arrived at a place called Bexhill. Now King Harold came up as they landed, his face full of venom and hate. He said, "If that's comfort regatta, that's got here just 6 weeks too late." At this, William rose, cool but haughty, and he said, "Here's none of your cheek, but that's best to have the throne reupholstered. I'll be wanting to use it next week." When Harold heard this here defiance, with rage he turned purple and blue, and he shouted some rude words in Saxon, to which William answered, "And you?" 'Twere a beautiful day for a battle. The Normans set off with a will. When both sides was duly assembled, they tossed for the top of the hill. King Harold, he won the advantage. On the hilltop he took up his stand, with his knaves and his gads all around him, on his horse, with his oak in his hand. The Normans had nought in their favour. Their chances of victory seemed small, for the slope of the field were agin them, and the wind in their faces and all. The kick-off was sharp at 2:30, and as soon as the whistle had went, both sides started bashing at each other, till the swineherds could hear 'em in Kent. The Saxons had best line of forwards, well armed with both buckler and sword, but Normans had best combination, and by half-time no one had scored. So the Duke called his cohorts together, and he said, "Let's pretend that we beat. Once we get Saxons down on level, we'll cut off their means of retreat." So they ran, and the Saxons ran after, just exactly as William had planned, leaving Harold alone on Hilltop, on his horse, with his oak in his hand. When the Conqueror saw what had happened, a bow and an arrow he drew. He went right up to Harold and shot him. He were offside, but what could they do? The Normans turned round in a fury and gave back with both parry and thrust, till the fighting were all over about shouting, and you couldn't see Saxons for dust. And after the battle were over, they found Harold so stately and grand, sitting there with an eyeful of arrow, on his horse with his oak in his hand. Absolute nonsense and gibberish, but one of the only poems I can actually remember, and still a favourite.